You'll never get a loan as a first-time builder doing your first acquisition if you don't know these 4 steps on how to acquire a loan. These 4 steps will get you money from lenders. Look, most people think that if you go out and you have an 800 credit score and a 30%, 20% debt to income ratio, you can get a loan. That's not necessarily true by any stretch of the imagination. Does it help? Yeah, it helps. But what you have to understand about banking and lending, if you want to go in, you want to be an owner builder, if you want to go in, you want to take down a new build, an acquisition in a single family or in commercial real estate, you got to pay attention to this right here. Because understanding how banks and institution works are the single most important thing that you need to do when you're going into real estate. Follow me here. Now, you have an asset, okay? Let's look at you with an 800 credit score, okay? And let's look at you with a 30% debt to income ratio, okay? And let's look at an asset, okay, that is worth $800,000 based on appraisals, okay, and comps. Now, the way that multifamily works is off of performance. That's the performance of an asset. How does that asset perform? Everything that we do relates back to financial returns on an ROI, a return on investment for a bank and for you or for your investors, okay? Now, when we look at it from a return on investment standpoint, you got to look at what the banks are looking at, because if you don't look at what the banks are looking at, you'll never get a loan. You'll never be capable of it. Everybody is 2 steps ahead of themselves, always 2 steps ahead of themselves. The first thing people do when I say, hey, let's buy land, build houses, can I get lending? Yes, that's where it ends. When I say yes, you can get lending, that's where it ends. You don't worry about lending until you need to worry about lending, because these 4 steps are going to get you lending. If you don't have these 4 steps done, you can't get lending. These 4 steps have to do with this right here. It has to do with this set of plans right here. If you don't have this, how the fuck do they appraise it? That's the question. How do they appraise your asset if you don't have this done? Like, I can unroll this thing right here and I can look at this asset that we're building. Which project is this? I have a lot of them. A lot of projects. My Inca. Okay, so watch, check this out, guys. You go in, the way you get appraisals, guys, is you go in and you have to have a set of plans. Now, there's a process to this, okay? This set of plans right here will get you money, because this set of plans gives you absolutely everything that you need for the asset, guys. So when we go in here, look, guys, that's 150 units right there. It's 150 units. But it has all the information that the bank needs to be able to go in and appraise this asset based on the performance and pro forma of other assets. If you have a house, it's a single family house, you have a set of plans. In that set of plans, guys, most of our projects are multifamily. We do a lot of homes. We've done hundreds and hundreds of homes over the course of time. But let me tell you guys that homes are the exact same way. When you go in, you're building a house, looking for a set of house plans. All my stuff around me is all commercial plans. You go in, guys, here's the process, okay? Here's the process, okay? It's called the process, okay? There's 2 things you get from the process, guys. 1, you get money. 2, you get permits. Without permits, you can't get money. These 2 go hand in hand. You have to be able to have a set of permits to get money, and in order to get money, you got to have permits. So when we go back, guys, the process is number 1, you got to get a survey. Every single build has to have a survey. Where do you get a survey? Where the comps are appeasing to a return on investment that supports an asset worth that $800,000. You don't go look for land. You look for a demographical area that's profitable. I look at the highest price per square foot on resale values and days on the market. Those 2 things. I sit back and go, where do I have the largest ROI? Where can I go in and where can I sell the house for the most amount of money? What is the most desirable area? And is the land going to be more expensive in those areas? You bet your ass it is. It's going to be more expensive because that demographical area is going to cost more. You ain't going to go back in, go into the most expensive demographical area across the country and say, can I get a good price on your land? No, you can't get a good price on the land. You're going to get a fair price on your land, because the fair price of your land is going to bear you larger profits. Where you have a higher return on investment, the land is more expensive. Where the land is more expensive, so long as the land doesn't sit in excess of 15 to 20% of the overall resale price of that house, the price of the land is going to be relative to the profitability that you're going to make. So if you're in California, the houses are selling for $2 million, ding, 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 ding. Guess what? The land is more expensive. You will pay more for the land in California. Yes, you will. Just don't pay more than 15 to 20%. The closer you stay to 15% of the overall resale value or lower, the more profitable your build's going to be and the more money you're going to take home, okay? Now, when we go in based on comps, guys, based on comps, not based on some bullshit that I'm going to build an $800,000 house that was $800,000 across town. Doesn't matter who it's selling for across town. All that matters is what that house sells for in that demographical areas based on comps. Everything has to be comp-based, everything. If you come in, that $800,000 would go into a demographical area that supports the comps, this demographical area, okay? So now, we go in, we get a survey on this lot. Most of the time, the landowners, they have a survey. If they don't, what do, Alec? We go in, we call a survey company, we get those surveys right away. When you get this survey, you need both the boundary and you need the topographic survey, okay? You need both of these, okay? Your civil engineer can't do what they need to do your grading and drainage plan without a topographic survey. Number two, you're gonna need an architect, okay? Your architect, guys, is gonna put together exactly what's being built in that area. So when I go back in, I tell you guys, say, look, what do you build? You build exactly what's selling. Remember what I said earlier in the video, right? I said, I look for the highest return on investment. I look for the home that's selling for the highest price per square foot. So if I take that asset and I say, this home right here sold for the highest price per square foot and had the least amount of days on the market. Now, if there's one that sold for the highest price per square foot, but it's sat on the market for 300 days, that's a no-go, guys. Like, I don't want to build that shit. I'm going to go to the next house and say, oh, this house, it had the highest price per square foot, but it only sat on the market for 28 days, 34 days, 55 days. And then I sit back, I want to build that. Why? Because I don't want to sit on that thing. I don't want to be burning mortgage payments. I don't want to be my capital tied up for that long. I want to move through these projects, guys. Moving money is making money. When you get your money stagnant, that's a problem. You want that money moving. You want that money to keep revolving. Revolving capital is good money, man. You want that money revolving, house after house after house after house after house. You move that shit. You don't want that money sitting stagnant. That money has to move, okay? Now, if you're doing an owner build, doesn't matter. You stabilize that asset, you're gonna live in that asset for 2 years. Why? Because you're gonna take advantage of one of the #1 tax incentives that the US federal government, our IRS, has for homeowners when it comes to capital gains taxes, and it's in your single family home. If you live in that home for 2 years, you pay no capital gains taxes up to $250,000 for single individuals and up to $500,000 for married couples. Now, with that said, it's one of the best tax incentives that we have as US American people in our single family homes. Take advantage of it, okay? Now, when we go in, guys, we get an architect. Number 3, we're gonna get a civil engineer. This is for your grading and drainage plan, okay? We get a civil engineer. And then number 4, we're gonna go in and we're gonna submit for permits. We're gonna put all of this together. You're gonna have a couple other engineers. You're gonna need a structural engineer. This is gonna cost you about $800 to $1,000. And then you're gonna need to go in. These are the main ones, guys. But see, from the architect, you're gonna get what's called a heat loss statement. It's an energy statement saying you are in compliance with the 2024 energy codes, which are current right now. So off of CAD, they're gonna provide you with an energy document. So it's gonna be an energy statement, okay? Number 6, you're gonna need truss engineering. This is free once you get bids. You get bids, you put the date send it to the truss company. The truss company is gonna give you a price for trusses. When you do business with that truss company, they will do the engineering for you for free. So before you even go get permits, you already know what your trusses are gonna cost. This is part of your lumber package. You're gonna check mark that box, you can put it on your budget sheet, and you're gonna go in, and once you sign the contract that you're gonna do business with them, because you already know you're doing business with the best available truss company in town, because you just put your architecture out to bid. While you're waiting for your civil engineers and your structural engineers to do what they're doing, you go in, you put your truss engineering out to bid, you go in and you get truss engineering, and it's all software. The truss engineering is simple. It takes no time at all. These guys go in, they do a truss layout for you. This is typically free. Now, with this stuff right here, guys, we can go in, and now, ladies and gentlemen, once we're done with step number 2, we have a permit set. Now we go to lending, and we go in to get money from the bank. And now, once we have all of this done, we go in for permits. Banking, lending, after step number 2 is complete, we can go in and start talking to lenders. But until you have these 2 items done, you don't even talk to lenders, because a lender is not going to give you any money until step number 2 is done, okay? So those of you guys that think you're smarter than me, go to the bank. You're going to get a no 100% of the time. When you go into a bank, you know, hey, can I get a construction loan? No, you don't have a project. What are you going to get a loan on? Nothing. You don't have a project. Don't be asking for construction loans, ladies and gentlemen, when you don't have a damn project. You don't go in and get construction loans until you have an asset that you know what you're going to build. Until you know exactly what you're going to take for your architect, you shouldn't be talking to a bank. Stop putting your left foot in front of your right. You're going to trip over yourself and bite your tongue off. You want to keep your tongue in your mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, when you go in, you need to go in. If you're going to do an owner build, if you're going to go in and you're going to do this for a business, you have to have your shit in order before you go talk to a bank. You don't go talk to a bank till your shit's in order. Once you got all your ducks in a row, then you go talk to a bank. You don't even touch a bank. You don't even go to a bank. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an example. There is more banks out there available to you than you even are willing to go out and talk to. When people go out, what if the bank says no? There's another damn bank, okay? There's banks everywhere. You name a city. TikTok. What cities you guys in? Throw me up some cities. Where are you guys at? Let me give you an example, okay? It's looking like Columbus, Ohio, okay? So we got San Diego, California, okay? Columbus, Ohio. Look at this, guys. Let me give you an example. Not every bank's going to lend to you because not every bank, bills don't fit into every single bank's business model. Has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with your project. That shit just doesn't fit into their business model. So you go to the next bank that you find a bank that it fits into their business model. And then if it doesn't fit in their business model, you can come back and talk to me because I have a bank that's called People Financial that they will give you money provided you follow my process. You follow my process and you follow it the way we teach it, they will lend you money, okay? Because then you'll know your project is viable. Now, we go into like Columbus, Ohio. Let's do a couple things here. Watch, check this out. Small community banks and credit unions in San Diego, California, okay? And here's just a simple little example, guys. There is no limitation of banks. First Tech Federal Credit Union, North Island Credit Union, My Point Credit Union, North Park, Mission Federal Credit Union, California Coast Credit Union, East Village, Blue Peak Credit Union, SDCCU Mission Valley Branch, North Island Credit Union, Mission Federal Credit Union. Go to the next page. First Tech Credit Union, Bank with a C of California, Schools First Federal Credit Union, California Coastal Credit Union, La Mesa, California Coastal Credit Union University, California Credit Union, My Point Credit Union Sports Arena, SDDC, that's a big one, SDCCU, must be a big one, okay, there's a ton of branches out there. Del Mar Federal Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union, Cabrillo Credit Union, North County Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no lack of credit unions and banks out there. Go to every single one of them. Tell them our business model. I promise. You go to 20 banks, there'll be 4 of them that are interested in your loan. Then those 4, you'll negotiate terms, ladies and gentlemen. And with the bank, the lender that you're going to go with is the one that gives you the best terms. Let's go to someplace like Columbus, Ohio. Let's go someplace in the Midwest, okay? Small regional banks and credit unions in Columbus, Ohio area. Okay, you can do this across the United States. Toledo Credit Union, Pathways Financial Credit Union, Together Credit Union, Credit Union of Ohio, Kellio Credit Union, BMI Federal Credit Union, CME Federal Credit Union, Credit Union of Ohio, Ohio Healthcare Federal Credit Union, Education's First Credit Union, next page, CES, Kellio again, Education First, Pathways Financial Federal Credit Union, ODJFS Federal Credit Union, First Service Federal Credit Union, BMI Federal Credit Union, State Highway Patrol Federal Credit Union, BEMBA Grove Federal Credit Union, BMI Federal Credit Union. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much opportunity with credit unions and small local banks. That's where you get lending from. So let me tell you something. If you're going to go in, you're going to do an owner build, you just go in, you work with the banks that do owner builds. You go in and you talk to 20 banks, you may land up getting 15 no's, but you're going to get 5 yeses. And those 5 yeses are what you're looking for. I don't know which one. I don't know all the banks across the United States. I don't have them all memorized. All I know is that we have a community of thousands of people across the United States, and 100% of every single one of these people that follow our process, that go in and utilize the components that we teach, get loans. It's miraculous. It's amazing. So all you got to do is you got to plug and play, plug and play, plug and play. Listen, don't put the cart in front of the horse. Don't put your left foot in front of your right foot. Go in and follow the process of entitlement to go in and get banking and permits. That's how you go in and you get money for owner builds. That's how you go in and get money to be able to go in and build a brand new single family home ground up construction. And I'll tell you guys, the undertaking of upside profitability and equity, hands down, is superior to any other business model in the real estate sector per price on acquisition. You can't go in and do an $800,000 worth of business, guys, anywhere else and make over $200,000, but you can here. Provided you pay attention, you listen, you buy your land right area, right comps, right demographics, and do it exactly the way the banks do it. And if you do it based on our underwriting, you'll go in and you can comp this thing out, and based on comps and pro formas, you can go out and enhance your business with profitability every single time. Look, for more content just like this, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Pound that thumbs up button. Comment down below. Let me know what you're in need of. Do I get down and dirty and do I say it the way it is? 100%. You know where it comes from. Ladies and gentlemen, go out, compound your success, click and subscribe, pound that thumbs up button. Until next time, have a great day and God bless.